to say that I don't really feel that any flying display anywhere around the country is complete without the sight of the Spitfire, despite the fact there are of course more Spitfires flying in UK now than there were back in the mid-50s when the Battle of Britain Memorial flights first set up their historic flights with 3 Mark 19s. It is possible to see them regularly around the country, well over 30 flying, but of course many companies can offer you a flight in them as well. But this, a rather special one, restored, built and engineered by Mark, himself a professional engineer. It's been his project for at least 15 years. The restoration of this aircraft was all done within the UK, the airframe on the Isle of Wight, the engine in Dursley, in Gloucestershire, the propeller in Stroud, final assembly at Biggin Hill, and began in 2005 with its first flight back in the air relatively recently in 2021. That is now where it's housed amongst the many other Spitfires of that wonderful collection managed by Peter Monk at the Biggin Hill Heritage Hangar. This one, painted in desert camouflage colours, was originally shipped to Casablanca for service with the Middle East Air Force. It arrived just after the Axis surrender in Tunisia and was shortly assigned to 93 Squadron in Malta, where it was involved in a number of air-to-air combat sorties during the invasion of Sicily. One of the great pleasures that Mark had during the course of developing and bringing this aircraft back in the sky was to have had lunch in the Royal Air Force Club with Peter Holmes, who flew this very aircraft in combat from Sicily when he served with 232 Squadron at the very young age of 18. As a result of this, his name is commemorated literally inside the cockpit door of the aircraft. It's got one record of from 1943 in the hands of Sergeant Hockey, damaging an Italian Magis 202, and that was in one combat. The aircraft, having been assigned, was operating from Lentini East on Sicily and was flying regular operations in support of the Allied invasion of Italy. Helped in the protection of the beachhead at Salerno, and that required an enormous effort, requiring over 400 miles of flying over the sea, for which 90-gallon drop tanks were utilised as well. Went on to fly regular missions from Corsica, mostly escort missions protecting the B-26s on their raids over Italy, before being transferred then to 327, the Free French Squadron Royal Air Force, which was based at Bourgogne, subsequently moving its way into northern France. We can go into more detail later in the day when we see the Battle of Britain Memorial flight in the second half of today's display, with the remarkable background and history and heritage of the entire development of the Spitfire, from its birthplace at the Supermarine Works on the Itchen River, and the role of R.J. Mitchell and, of course, his dedicated and extremely talented design team. sadly, it's always too quick, isn't it? I can get so completely carried away with the sight and sound of the Spitfire and the marvellous Merlin engine, as I'm sure you can, enjoying it here today. We'll get another chance in a couple of hours' time. But for now, please give a fond farewell and a wave and cheerio to Mark Bennett in this Mark 9 Spitfire. Lima Zulu 842 on his way back to Biggin Hill. They're uniquely leaving us into the wild blue yonder on our left-hand side. Marvellous sound. This aircraft fitted with the original Rolls-Royce Merlin 63, the only one of its type flying in the world today.
And it's a warm one here in Eastbourne this afternoon, so bear that in mind. Keep topping up that sun cream, and if you can, try and find yourself a little bit of shade. Plenty of people with umbrellas on the beach, which is great to see, so that's a perfect way to keep out of the sun. And obviously, those refillable water bottles, there are plenty of places you can refill those water bottles and keep hydrated right along the seafront. Those water refill points at the Western Lawns, the RNLI Museum, and the Lifeguard Station as well. Just a few of those spots that you can refill your refillable water bottle. While we're here, quick thank you, as always, and there's many, many thank yous to be had across this weekend, but a huge thank you to Eastbourne Borough Council and Visit Eastbourne for putting on what is an incredible event across the next few days, funded entirely through donations, commercial sales, and sponsorships, so please do support it and donate to keep the Eastbourne Airshow going. And we must say thank you as well to colleagues in the RAF, the Army, the Navy, all of our emergency services supporting the event, the Rotary Club of Hailsham, and all of the volunteers who are supporting the event today. Please do give if you can. Many of our volunteers out and about wearing their official red bucket collection vests. Many of these are volunteers from local charities. And when you donate to their bucket, their charity will receive 30% of that donation. So please do give and keep the airshow going for another year.
Well, thank you, Adam. And coming up next, one of our all-time favourites, particularly around the seasides of the United Kingdom every year. Yes, you've seen them as the Utterly Butlers, the Ginos, the Crunches, and now they're back in their colours, of course, of Aerosuperbatics. Today, just a single aircraft heading your way very shortly. They'll come in high, first of all, for their first manoeuvre. And, of course, this is where you see those brave girls hanging on their straps on the top of the wing as well. So this requires your attention, a bit of audience participation as well, because on that wing today we've got Emma Broadbent, and she'll be doing her best while going upside down and inside out to give you a wave as well. And we want her to feel that you're certainly engaged with that and very supportive of what she's doing. It's a terrific show, been hugely popular. Look up high on the right-hand side now. You'll see this marvellous old biplane. That's a Stearman aircraft. Very shortly, be putting the smoke on. In the front seats, well, he's actually in the rear seats, as is normal with many biplanes. The pilot, Dave Barrell, hugely well known. Would you believe, he tells me, in his 20th year of displaying for Aerosuperbatics, and may we get another 20 years out of him as well. He's a consummate performer, very professional pilot, and if you saw that recent film with the well-known Tom Cruise, you'll be glad to know that Dave was one of the advisors on that, along with many other British pilots from Duxford flying those Stearman aircraft at the tail end of that show. Well, here we're going now, and he's pulling up, first of all, I think this is looking like a stall turn. He's putting a big boot of rudder there and actually tipping the aircraft over on its side through 180 degrees. Tremendous aircraft this, really comfortable to fly. It's wonderful, it's strong, and it's a great trainer. Developed back in the 30s in the interwar years, and it proved the backbone of trainers in the United States for many thousands of pilots indeed. A real favourite clearly on the airshow circuit because of what it's able to do in front of you right now. Another stall turn, and that smoke you can see there, all wonderfully environmentally friendly. It's often referred to as a brand like Ondina. It's baby oil effectively, as David goes inverted there, giving you a wonderful roll. And all the time that he's doing that, you can see Emma on the top there, doing her best to hang on. She is strapped in quite firmly into that rig at the moment, but during the course of the latter part of the display, she will detach from that and actually maneuver around the top of the wing. So having used up a fair bit of energy at a slightly higher level there, he'll just gradually bring the aircraft down a little bit lower, and you'll see a combination of maneuvers from both the aircraft itself and Emma on top. This aircraft not a standard steerman though, because to do this, by putting somebody on the wing, you actually create an awful lot of drag, and of course you need therefore an extra bit of power. Oh, and he's just gone inverted there. They are both now hanging in their straps, and you can see, oh, he didn't keep it going there for too long. Not surprisingly, all the blood rushing to their heads, but in that case, you'll notice that Emma had actually swung the harness around 180 degrees. So whilst Dave was upside down, Emma was the right way up. And what a wonderful way to fly. Keep your eyes very, very closely peeled, whatever you've got out there, binos or your long-range photo lenses. She doesn't stand still throughout this, and I've got to say, David doesn't fly straight and level for very long either. Marvellously entertaining, take us right back to those barnstorming years, the interwar years when, following the First World War, there were a lot of spare aircraft, plenty of redundant pilots as well. And of course, it was all about entertaining the local population, dropping into farm strips around the country, and just having a great deal of fun. At the same time as earning a few bob for the joyrides that they used to give. History has it that it was a guy called Ormer Locklear who once ventured out onto the wing to repair a particular issue that he had, would you believe, while flying. And that led to the wing walking experiences, along with a partner he picked up by the extraordinary name of Ethel Dare. And between the two of them, they got this genre going. Brought into this country well over 50 years ago and taken on professionally by Vic Norman and his team at a beautiful First World War flying airfield, RFC Rentham, just in the countryside near Cirencester, and going through the Humpty Bumpties now. As he pulls it up, pulls on the G, both of them feeling around 3 to 4 G now as he goes up to them, then pushing as if you're driving fast over the top of a humpback bridge along the main road, and then your stomach rushes all the way up to your head as you go slightly weightless over the top of that bump. Well, I mentioned that this wasn't any normal aircraft, and you needed a bit of extra power to keep and overcome the drag of having the body on the top of the wing of the aircraft. So that's got a massive, great Pratt & Whitney 450 983 radial engine, 9 cylinders, 450 horsepower there, pumping out. And as you heard that roar, that's that big standard Hamilton 2-blade propeller almost going supersonic. It's a wonderful, wonderful sound. Now, if that wasn't enough to be going on with, then in addition to that extra power there, he's got an extra pair of ailerons as well. And that gives the aircraft increased agility and roll rate, whilst overcoming the drag as well. Straight and level now, he's pushing the down. What will it be this time? Will it be a roll? Will it be a loop? They will have rehearsed this themselves so that Emma is prepared once again to go upside down, hanging in her straps, still giving you a wave at the same time, as Dave Barrell goes through a barrel roll. about halfway, you hear that roar coming on, smoke coming on. Emma now lying sideways. And of course, it's a tough job being a wing walker. They make it look easy, but of course it isn't. And it's very, very competitive indeed to actually get a place on the team. Most of them have been in dance or circus work. Emma very much keen on extreme activities, marathon, shark cage diving, kite surfing, skydiving. Pretty much everything that isn't remotely normal. And when she's not doing that, she spends her time hiking up very steep mountains. So a real star, works very closely with Kirsten Pobjoy, who sadly couldn't join us today. She doesn't mind whether she's inside the cockpit or out on the wing, and thoroughly enjoys being upside down or pulling 4G, whatever it happens to be. Now keep a close eye on them at the moment as they go past here. And you'll see she is maneuvering now into the wing rider. Poking out to sea as if she's on the front deck of a masterful boat, and wonderful. That's all that activity taking place with around about 120 to 150 mile wind. So you know what it's like to put your hand out the window of a car when it's scooting down the motorway at 60, 70 miles an hour. It takes quite a lot of effort to hold your hand there. Well, double that wind speed, and you now know what Emma is having to fight about. Does a lot of ballet as well, and enjoys jazz in her spare time. Classic dance training certainly helped her to execute many of these maneuvers. Dave started out as a mechanic, doing a lot of parachute drop flying training to build up his hours, and has never looked back, and thoroughly enjoyed since he became chief pilot of Aerosuperbatics. Now this is something you can also do yourselves. An awful lot of people do it to raise money for really great charities. If you just go to the Aerosuperbatics website or to gowingwalking.com, you can sign up to have a go at wingwalking your own selves. If you do that, you'll be invited to a thoroughly good day out at Rencombe, where the team will look after you and give you the chance not to experience the thrill and feeling of flight yourself, but hopefully to contribute to some good causes as well. Coming round now in the arabesque, and there you can see 1 foot right in front of David's helmet. She's completely detached from the harness, just held on by a safety wire. Just hearing Dave now call for his final pass. So mums and dads, boys and girls, whatever you've got out there, hold on to your hats and give Dave and Emma a massive airborne wave off. What a super job. Perfect day for it. Well done, guys. They are indeed the magnificent airmen and women in a really, really superb and evocative flying machine.
Another incredible display. While you're here, how about going away with some merchandise? The information stand up on the Western Lawns has got a brilliant selection of official airborne merchandise, including some t-shirts, you've got some tote bags, baseball caps, and some of our new powered by jet fuel airborne mugs. So a lovely reminder of your visit to take away, or a fantastic gift for the aviation fan in your life. And you can order them as well at eastbourneairshow.com/merchandise. The profit from each sale supporting the future of the Eastbourne International Airshow. The radio crackling to life once again down here in the commentary box. So We're just waiting for the next display to appear, which should be very, very shortly. Loads to see and do down here while you're here at the Eastbourne Airshow. Don't forget everything that's going on up on the Western lawns, the interactive military displays. You can, of course, walk through a Chinook facsimile. You can see a Bulldog aircraft on display with the RAF cadets. Even sampling up some of the food cooked up for you by the RAF's field catering team, and while you're there, chat to the recruitment and engagement teams up there on the Western Lawn. So loads to see and do across this weekend down in Eastbourne, and boy, have we got the weather for it.
Well, we're about to skip from one genre to another now as we bring in, for making her first appearance at Airborne, a wonderful machine, one loved by many, particularly by me, I hasten to add, but a warm welcome to the P-51 Mustang Marinell in the hands today of Isabel Rutland, herself relatively new to the display circuit, although pretty well known as a very competent and successful award-winning aerobatic pilot herself. Keep your eyes high and right, look over beachy head, just where you would expect a fighter to be. Coasting out, perhaps on its way across the channel, and in this case, to climb up and escort many a bombing fleet on its way to Berlin. Please welcome this outstanding machine, the P-51D Mustang. The P-51 was the most successful long-range fighter escort of World War II. Not an instant success, though, because although it was designed in a very short time span for the British, and just 120 days, the first Mustangs were built with Allison engines. And whilst reasonably remarkable at low altitudes, these variants were considered pretty underpowered and disappointing at higher altitudes. You hear that familiar roar, though, because in late 1942, the aircraft was transformed when, in the UK, Rolls-Royce Merlin engines were tested in place of the Allison. Same engine, of course, in the Spitfire that you heard a little earlier on. These then went on to be licensed built by Packard in the USA. You'll hear the term a Packard Merlin, frequently referred to in many warbirds. And when this was installed in 1943 in the P-51B and C models, it became an absolute runaway success. The marriage of both the engine and then the development of the bubble canopy and the 6-gun format with the P-51D made it one of the most iconic and potent fighters of all time. The P-51's range, particularly the D model, with an incredible 2,000 miles thanks to its huge fuel capacity of 1,000 litres internally and up to 815 litres in drop tanks. Equally impressive was its level maximum speed of in excess of 430 miles an hour at 25,000 feet and a max diving speed of just a little over 500 miles an hour with a service ceiling over 41,000 feet. A fantastic all-round performer. This particular aircraft was manufactured at an equally famous factory, North American's Inglewood plant in California. Shipped to the UK on the 6th of June, yes, that's D-Day, assigned to the 504th Fighter Squadron, part of the 339th Fighter Group of the famous 8th Air Force. It was placed under the command of a young pilot called Captain Bradford Stevens. He was only 24 when he first got to know this aircraft, trained at Rice Army Air Base in California, and he chose the name Marinell after a young girl he had met whilst completing his combat training. She was Mary Ann Annell, I believe it is, Stokes, who was just 20 years at the time. He carried out a bombing and strafing target against railway targets in August 1944. Yes, exactly on today's date, the 13th. Landed back at Falmere in East Anglia at 11:30 that same morning, reflecting on the heavy, intense and accurate flak that he had sustained. However, later that day, another pilot, Lieutenant Wilkerman, got airborne, was a member of the same squadron, and set out on a dive bomb and sweep mission across in France, but was shot down at around 6 o'clock in the evening. Meanwhile, coming back to the wonderful lady in the cockpit, Isabel, she learned to fly in her late 30s, flying many different types, including the Mustang, but also the T6 Texan, otherwise known by most of the British as the Harvard, and various aerobatic aircraft, including, of course, the outstanding Pitts Special. She became the 2023 Standard National Aerobatics Champion and the winner of the Tiger Trophy for the best aerobatic performance at any level, and has been in a huge number of other competitions since then. Keeping herself current in the meantime, she acts as an instructor, flying a Cirrus, and also flies a few other turboprop aircraft such as the PC-12 as well. But it's this aircraft that I'm sure is not only hers, but many, many others. An aircraft which vied with the Spitfire for its infamy and presence, but actually, as most Spitfire pilots have said on many occasions since, flying a Spitfire is absolutely sublime, a wonderful aircraft, absolute pleasure to fly. But if you want to go into combat and at longer range, the Mustang is the one probably to have. Lovely topside pass now. She can see you. Do give her a wave if you can. Very strong and robust aircraft as well, able to withstand very high G limits and minus as well. It's just the pilot, of course, and not just armed with those .50 machine guns, and but also had hard points for up to 2,000 pounds of bombs and 10 5-inch rockets as well. So a truly flexible aircraft. One of the few warbirds of its time to be able to carry out escort duties all the way to Berlin. Last pass coming up from Isabel now, so please give her a great airborne send-off once again. We look forward to seeing her over the next few days with a wonderful victory roll, delightfully flown. And just one of the most iconic and evocative aircraft to have in any air display. Thank you so much for that.
Much more to come then this afternoon as we go through day one here at the Eastbourne International Airshow. Well, however you came down today, thank you for joining us. Great to see the beach as busy as it is today. Plenty of people enjoying a dip in the sea. Please do, before you go home, look after our beach, pick up your litter and protect our marine life. Plenty of recycling points right along Eastbourne seafront, kindly provided by Environment First. And if you did walk, cycle or travel by public transport to get here today, then a huge thank you to you. The single largest generator of emissions at this event is actually not the aircraft, but actually the cars on the road travelling to the show. So we do appreciate your support in reducing both traffic on the roads and also helping to make the show more sustainable. There are spots along Eastbourne seafront for you to fill up your refillable bottle. The Western Lawns, the Lifeboat Museum, the Lifeguard Station, and also the bandstand toilets. So loads of spots along the seafront to grab some refreshments. And while you're along there, please do look out for our volunteers wearing those official red bucket collection vests. Many are from local charities, and when you donate to their bucket, their charity does receive 30% of the donations here at the air show. As I say, loads more to come, loads more in the skies, coming up for you very, very shortly.
Yeah, change of genre now, actually, Adam. Yeah, we're going back into the biplane area once again, we're almost interacted between warbirds from the Second World War and biplanes from that preceded that. But it's just fantastic to have such a mix of really interesting aircraft. Oh, my word, what a day out there. God, that sea does look inviting, doesn't it? But stay where you are, please. Don't rush into the sea just yet, not while flying continues. There is a little bit of space. There are a couple of yellow marker buoys there. That is the extent of the swim zone, or if you're in the kayaks, which I see, or paddle boards, then just stay close to the beach whilst the flying is in place, and then you can enjoy the rest of it once we've completed that. Yeah, change of scene now. I hear the next item checking in on the air. This is what I call 3 Richards and a Roger, because it's a team called the Stampe formation team. Really, really delightful aircraft. You might think it's a Tiger Moth, but it is not. It's different in several different ways. But this team made up, would you believe, yes, 3 Richards, Richard Ward, Richard Burliand, Richard Meredith, and the Roger in aircraft number 4 is Roger Bishop. It's a delightful display. Here we are coming in now. It's coming into the overhead with number 4, trailing smoke, the Stampe formation. It's a Belgian 2-seat trainer, Tutor biplane, designed and built by Stampe at Vertonghen, built under license in France, and also a little bit in French Algeria as well. Designed and built in the early 1930s. First model was the 4A. That was an advanced aerobatic trainer, followed by the 4B with redesigned wings, and fitted with the de Havilland Gypsy major engine, giving it a lot more reliability. 35 of these were made before the company was closed during the Second World War, but after that a further 65 were built as trainers for the Belgian Air Force. In all, well over 1,000 of these were made, and they're an absolutely delightful machine to fly, lovely to watch. And during the course of this display, I have to say, Richard Warder, who is the leader of this particular team, has put a very graceful display together. They've displayed at many places already this year, at Stowe Maris, that wonderful historic airfield, Midlands Air Festival, and many other small villages, as well as popping over to France as well, and they've got several more to go before we get to the end of September. Got a little connection upstairs here in our cabin. We've got an air trafficker called Ian Revel, who was just happened to be the best man of the team leader. Completing, well, still continuing with a wonderful tear show. It's just delightful to see these aircraft doing this, all really in very close as well. They're allowed to come in a little bit closer to us. Converting that tail chase into what they call the round robin. You'll notice they're all very different colours as well. Up leading is Richard Ward in the red-white sunburst aircraft, Richard Berliand in the yellow sunburst, Richard Meredith, one with the red and white stripes, and Roger in the white and blue Stampe. Richard tells me they've got one little new addition coming into their routine this year, which I'll try and point out to you when we get to that stage. Right now, the formation reforming. So this time, coming in to your right, one side, smoke is on for the swan formation. The Stampe became a stalwart of aerobatic competitions in France and much of Europe. Much loved for its harmonized, light and effective controls. A few differences from the Tiger Moth I mentioned. It has a tail wheel and reasonably effective brakes, which of course the Tiger Moth doesn't. But it also has an extra set of ailerons as well to provide an increased roll rate. Nonetheless, the aircraft are often confused and with the Tiger Moth type, but they're definitely not. One of the well-known teams we often refer back to was that of the Rothmans formation team. They operated 4 Stampes during the early 1970s prior to their embarkation onto the pit special with the legendary Neil Williams. Once again, as with the Aerosuperbatics earlier on, taking us back to those classic barnstorming aviation years of the 30s and 40s. Here we have, though, 4 open cockpit aerobatic biplanes, which fly up to speeds of around 130 miles an hour, but it can also turn very, very closely indeed. And as you can see, use very little airspace to keep the display right in front of you. Now changing formation into box. And given the, although they're very agile aircraft, nonetheless they are slower, so the speed of change is actually remarkably good, given it's a relatively slow aircraft. And you can see the formation itself very tight indeed, so expertly flown. Takes an awful lot of rehearsal, training, practice, as you would imagine. Now, great camera opportunity coming up as they come back in towards you. Just getting a little bit more height, turning back in towards us. Stand by for the Prince of Wales break. And what a delightful manoeuvre that was. Just perfect on this sunny afternoon to see these gaily coloured aircraft doing their bit. Richard now pulls up into an intermediate piece of solo aerobatics before the team will then rejoin. Initially in echelon starboard, and then they'll reformate into line astern. The team often appear as a 3-ship as well as a 4-ship formation. Occasionally as just a pair of biplanes to suit the nature of the event and size and shape of the display. And of course, an individual solo aerobatic performance as well. Capable of very short field landing. With a history of entertaining crowds for at least 50 years. So another opportunity now as they move back in. They'll go through a couple of flypasts. Reformating now into Vic. When the license was passed to the Algerians, the firms to a certain extent were competing with each other to pump out aircraft. They actually managed to complete a combined total of an additional 940 aircraft, hence the just in excess of 1,000 in total that I mentioned a little earlier. Stand by for another photographic opportunity as they come in towards crowd centre. There you have completing what they call their bishop break. Couple of flypasts coming up. Good opportunity just to mention a few of the pilots on board. Richard Ward, the team leader in the red and white aircraft. He started in aviation as an 18-year-old air trafficker. Flew Super Pumas. Very much a commercial man. Richard Meredith, he flew with the University Air Squadron, as many youngsters do. It's a great start to military flying, but he didn't quite get that far. And he started display flying with the very well-known turbulent team back in the late 1990s. But he also owned and displayed his own Pilatus PC-2, Youngman, as well as a turbulent as well. Lovely waving fly past. Really delightful opportunity. Roger Bishop there also, he took his flying lessons back in the early 1980s and working as so many do to earn the money for their licensing. As now we break into the solo routine. And you can just see how tight the maneuver is coming out there, completing a half cube. And as he comes over the top, you just look over your shoulder and just check the wings are level with the horizon. And then as you just pull out, you put it through just a half roll, 180 degrees. Just a little touch on the stick there to arrest the movement, and then you fly back out. Wing over to our left-hand side now. And you fly now into what we see frequently and what we describe as a barrel roll, and that is literally flying around the outside of a massive grate, classically designed beer barrel. Another wing over here onto the right-hand side. You may have just heard on my radio in the background there, the other 3 aircraft just calling they are clear of the display area. There we have, completing another barrel roll. We get another wing over, and then the new maneuver coming in very shortly. Richard tells me he's practiced a 4-point hesitation roll, so here we go. There he is hanging in his straps. He should get one more maneuver and hold that there. He flies through it. So not an easy maneuver to do, particularly in this aircraft. If you're doing 300 miles an hour in a little jet that's spread all over, it's an awful lot, or even maybe the Typhoon, of course, when you see it doing it as well. It's an awful lot easier. So it's tricky. There's a lot of movement going on in the cockpit between the rudders and the stick itself to ensure that the trajectory of the aircraft remains the same whilst you're maneuvering it around that particular line. Having the time of his life there. A little bit of G coming on. Every time they pull up, you can imagine just your body weight going from 1 G to around 2, 3, 4, depending on what aircraft you're in. And now using that little quarter turn there to reposition out on what we call the B axis. Going straight through into, I thought it was going to be loop, but it's a stall turn where you put a big boot of rudder in and you just turn the aircraft on its tail through 180 degrees. And then the cockpit fills up, full of the sight of the sea below. Straight into a standard loop. Try and keep that progressive, but pulling out, converting that into a half Cuban. And that is Richard's solo demonstration, completing an outstanding contribution from the Stampe formation today. Richard Ward and his team of 2 other Richards and the Roger. Please give him a wonderful wave off now, as you normally do here at Airborne. He'll give you a wing waggle. There we go, mums and dads, boys and girls, you know what to do. Just give him a massive great send off with a wonderful airborne wave.
And keep your dials tuned then to Radio Airborne. Tomorrow morning we'll be catching up with the Stampe formation team. Richard Ward will be coming on Radio Airborne in the morning for a telephone interview from where they're basing themselves up towards Headcorn Way. So lots more to come this afternoon. The hottest part of the day now, folks. So plenty of sun is around today. Please keep topping up that sun cream. Try and get yourself a little bit of shade, plenty of umbrellas about, which is a perfect opportunity to keep out of the sun and keep yourself hydrated as well. You can't drink enough water. You can, of course, refill your bottle at the various water refill points right along the Eastbourne seafront, the Western Lawns, the RNLI Museum, the lifeguard station, and of course the bandstand. Do take care if you are in the sea. Keep nice and close to the shore. Avoid swimming near to the groins, and do listen to that lifeguard advice at all times. Eastbourne lifeguards doing a sterling job along the seafront. As expected, many of you wanting to dip your toes into the water, but do take care if you are doing that tonight. No barbecues allowed, so no barbecues on the beaches today or on the seafront during the air show. They will be removed. to maintain the safety of our visitors through the afternoon. A little bit of a break coming up around 2:30 this afternoon, so lots to see. Opportunities for you to top up those water bottles, get some food, and see many of the stands that are up on the western lawns. There is plenty to see up there today.
Yes, there is indeed, and do make the most of it. And later on in the day, don't rush away. No need to go, of course. It's just going to be the most sublime evening here in Airborne. There was a great crowd out last night around the Wish Tower watching the eclipse, as I'm sure there was all over the country. Now, particularly if you've got some youngsters out there, they will also, I think, find the exhibits up on the Western Lawns, particularly from the military, of great interest. Good opportunity to get engaged. Certainly joining the cadets, you only need to be 13.5 years old to get started in that. Really good way to get into flying. If that's not in your bag, then just go and take a trial gliding lesson. Now, we're looking out for a sublime formation duo of Nigel Reed and John Dodd coming in right in front of you. The smoke is on, pulling up. Please welcome the Firebirds. These are two Vans RV4s in the hands of two very, very good professional pilots. Years and years and thousands of hours experience behind them, and they're going to give you a masterclass in pairs formation flying now. A very, very satisfying thing to do, and equally satisfying to watch as well. These two RV Vans, essentially sport aircraft, and quite the most successful line of build-it-yourself kit planes in the world, well in excess of 10,000 different types and different marks of these aircraft. Something you can build in your own backyard if you wish, and once you've done that, you can even take it touring. It's got a lovely fighter pilot feel to it with the tandem cockpit, but equally it's a lovely touring aircraft as well. Weighing in at a very slim 500 kilos, about the third the weight of a VW Golf, but fitted with a powerful 5.3 litre engine, giving it hot rod performance with 160 horsepower, pumping it around the sky. Once again, using this environmentally friendly smoke. John and Nigel actually inherited these aircraft from a previous pair that you will have seen here at Airborne in the past, named then the Fireflies. Both teams able to fly these aircraft at night as well, and these particular two aircraft now fitted with neon lights on the fuselage and able to fire pyrotechnics at night as well. So having said you could build this in the backyard yourself, many people do, and they're just hugely popular. These two aircraft were actually imported from America, and Nigel and John bought these aircraft from the two previous owners. The other great advantage of this aircraft, if you're in a flying family, is that the rear cockpit also has dual controls in it as well, so it can be flying from either seat. And a really versatile speed range, around 50 to 200 miles an hour. And able to take off and land at just 300 meters of strip. Cruising, however, at around about 160 miles an hour. And what these two guys expertly do is carve beautiful shapes in the sky, wonderfully outlined by the smoke system. Of course, the smoke, not just aesthetic, it is actually a very important safety tool as well, and it helps you identify your wingman when you've come out of particularly an inverted maneuver or one where you've broken in 2 different directions, is the quickest way to pick up your partner before coming back in for the next maneuver. We'll drop in and out of the cockpit in a moment just to hear Nigel giving the commands, and of course, once again, they make it look simple, but it isn't. It takes years and years of practice, experience, hard work, and a real dedication to entertaining people around the whole of the country. In a moment, we'll drop in and listen to some of the commands being issued, and it is on that very, very last end of the syllable cadence where the co-pilot has to put in exactly the same control input as the leader, and that is how they manage to synchronicity or sync their flying together into the smooth formation that you see being flown today. Again, a very, very satisfying. As they pull up now, you see John Dodd just tucked underneath Nigel's aircraft as they put in just a little turn at the top there into what we call a quarter clover. It's a really, really delightful format and a really pleasurable thing to watch at the same time. Approaching at a very fast closing speed there. You just see one, just like the Red Arrows do, putting a little bit of a jinx in to make it going through the heart and completing a double maneuver to come out on opposite sides. But once again, keep your eyes peeled as they go back in. And there you cool, you just heard in the background Nigel calling the pitching movements. As they climb up here, they'll put in another little twist. There it goes. Pull over the top. And as they come down the bottom there, that's when the G comes back on. Holding it very gently, consistently. And that is how they get such a synchronized maneuver. Stand by, Flickle. And that was Nigel just calling the next maneuver. Once again, another little quarter turn. And what a sky we have today. It's just absolutely perfect for this sort of flying. Both these guys have been around aviation for an awfully long time, from both when they were very young indeed. Nigel brought up in Poole, back along the coast from us here. Had aviation in the blood because his father owned a Gypsy Moth and was working for flight refueling at the time. Really got the bug for that. Went on to join the Air Cadets, as so many do, and of course that led him into the Royal Air Force, where he was a very lucky man to fly the Hunter. John, however, is wingman. He grew up in Scotland, and although he got involved in air training as well, he went on to study electrics, electrical engineering and electronics, and ended up becoming as a scientist, working with the British government, and did a lot of work at the old Royal Aircraft establishment at Farnborough, and flying a lot of small aircraft in his spare time. Coming towards the tail end of their display now. Hopefully something a little bit special for you. And again, another great photo opportunity. So keep your eyes peeled now, almost the final maneuver coming up. Coming in together, what's that going to be? What's your betting on? Loop, roll? No, it's a chance to give your partner a hug, a wish, whatever you wish. Because with the smoke coming on both aircraft now at last, it is the Firebirds' heart. Just going offline there for a moment. What a really, really super day for heart flying. And that is the Firebirds complete. And I cannot believe that we're almost at the end of the first half of today's flying. It's roasting hot as it is. What a really super, super day, and a marvelous, marvelous arena in which to display these aircraft for you here. I hope you're all having a super time. So just a little reminder, keep putting on that suntan lotion, particularly for the children. Please make sure they've got a hat and plenty of fluids as well. Absolutely vital you stick with the safety plan for the day. A lot of umbrellas out there, very, very helpful indeed. Just keep yourselves as cool as you possibly can. If you're going swimming, that's fine. Just don't go out too far while we're in the flying display. There is a break coming up after the next aircraft, which is pretty interesting. It's our first opportunity to see the military full on at the show today. They'll be seeing plenty more, of course, during the course of the next few days, and there's a good, strong presence out on the western lawns as well. This very much the start of flying training for pretty much all military would-be pilots, because it was an aircraft that was procured under contract to deliver both flying experience, what we call grading, an opportunity to test the rate of learning skills of potential pilots, and then of course also as a early elementary flying trainer as well. Well, we've got him in sight at the moment, so I've just checked where we're ready to go. We are indeed. So to tell you about this wonderful aircraft and a really excellent display, please welcome Flight Lieutenant Ross Edmonds.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the 2026 Royal Air Force Tutor display. Clearly, as so eloquently introduced there by George, I am Flight Lieutenant Ross Edmonds, and I'm the display manager for the 2026 season. So hopefully we'll give you a good old show for you. The more astute aware of you may have seen our little aircraft just coming in. If you look out to sort of crowd center, maybe a fist or two above the horizon, there's a yellow aircraft, bright yellow there, reflecting off the sun. That's the aircraft, that's the Grob Tutor. So Rich will be out there doing a few pre-display checks. He'll have done a G-warm, so just before you go for a run, for example, you do some stretching to make sure your legs are all up to standard. And Rich in the aircraft out there, he'll do the same thing. He's going to be pulling some G-force today with the display. So to make sure that his body is ready for those G-force, he'll just pull it around, slowly bring on the G to make sure he's all good. He'll also do an inverted check to make sure that the oil system in the aircraft is all set and sound. It's a pretty key system for our aircraft. So if he goes upside down, he doesn't want that oil system to stop working. So just checking that, and also loose articles. There is the possibility, although it should never happen, that there's a loose article in the aircraft, and by that I mean maybe a pen or a map or anything of that ilk. And by going upside down, he'll check to make sure that if there is anything, it'll fall in the canopy above him, and he can put it away. But, touch wood, that's never happened, and it never should happen. And lastly, he's just setting up the aircraft to make sure it's all ready for you, so making sure fuel pumps are on, the altimeters are set correctly, and all of the other kit within the aircraft is ready for the display. He's pretty good with timings, so he should be hitting us bang on his slot time of, I believe, 22 minutes past. You can all be the judge of that. But till then, he'll be out there. So the actual aircraft itself sort of came into service in the UK military in the late 1990s, used by the Royal Air Force, Royal Navy, and the Army Air Corps, although it's not used by the Royal Air Force anymore realistically for elementary flying training. That has been replaced by the Grob Prefect. Looks like he's running in now. So from Crowd Center, running in towards us at nearly 200 miles an hour, is the Tutor display pilot, Flight Lieutenant Rich Tamala. As he pulls up, he converts his speed into height to perform his first maneuver, the Hammerhead. Flight Lieutenant Tamala was born and raised in Cwmbran, South Wales, and started his flying career in the Royal Air Force in 1996, initially flying the C-130 out of Lynham. Rich is now going to enter a half-Cuban combination of a pitch, roll, and loop to change direction back along the crowd line. This is Rich's first year with the Tutor display, and he's operating at a base height of 500 feet, except the final two passes at 200. As he approaches Crowd Center, he's going to pull up for a lovely classic loop. At the top of the loop, he's going to be experiencing a total weightlessness, heading 0G there, and as he comes back down, G-forces increase, and he smoothly manipulates the aircraft to ensure he levels out at exactly 500 feet. He's now going to conduct another classic aerobatic maneuver for the half horizontal. He goes. Unlike displaying fast jets, the Tutor requires careful energy management due to its low power to weight ratio. This is achieved through our careful design of the display sequence. He's going to move the aircraft away from you there with a quarter clover. When not displaying, Rich serves as a qualified flying instructor with East Midlands University's Air Squadron, based out of Royal Air Force Cranwell. He's now a full-time reserve officer, but he was previously a senior officer whilst in regular service, serving his final tour as an officer command of 45 Squadron. Pulls up there for a stall turn. He comes back out. He's running back towards us and completing a quarter clover to reposition back along the crowd line. During his 30-year career, he's amassed over 5,000 flying hours on 10 different aircraft types. As he rolls out, he's maneuvering to complete a wing over, combined pitching and rolling maneuver used to turn the aircraft through 180 degrees. You'll notice that every wing over for this display today is slightly different, as he's got to cater for different wind conditions and energy states. As he rolls out, he's going to pitch the nose up and start for a slow roll. Skillfully coordinating elevator, rudder, and aileron inputs to make sure that lift vector is pointing upwards, preventing him from descending towards the ground. Cameras at the ready, folks, as he goes up for another stall turn, this time from a slightly different angle. In his spare time, Rich is a military ski instructor and a mountain leader. Coming out of the stall turn, he's going to run back towards Crowd Center for a variation of his quarter clover. You'll observe that he initially pulls up for the loop, there he goes, before rolling away from you. The Tutor is operated by No. 6 Flying Training School in partnership with Babcock International Group, primarily flying University Air Squadron students and RAF Air Cadets. Up he goes for another half-Cuban to then fly back in towards us. There are 13 air experience flights across the UK that offer flights for 20,000 cadets every single year. As he comes back in, barreling in towards us, he's going to pull up for a quarter clover into another wing over. The Air Cadets also offers 50 pilot scholarships per year on the Tutor, with students following a syllabus akin to a private pilot's license. Highlight without a doubt being sent first solo. The Air Cadets is also one of the largest providers of the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme and offers a range of other adventurous training activities. If you have any questions about Air Cadets, feel free to pop over to the Air Cadet stand or talk to our Tutor display team stand here today. As he comes out of the wing over, cameras at the ready, as he's going to go up for a 4-point roll. Delicately coordinating rudder, aileron, and elevator to keep that nose firmly planted above the horizon. We'll then enter into a wing over. Some of you may have noticed, hopefully, that we've got a yellow and black aircraft today. It's truly one of a kind, as it was initially part of a trial to help other pilots identify the aircraft in the air, but it's now become a favorite at air shows and has been given the nickname the Bumblebee. As he exits this wing over, he's going to complete a sequence of link maneuvers he's named after his daughter as he climbs up for the Amy roll. Those of you that are considering going to university, there are 15 UASs across the UK. UAS students are taught to fly the Tutor by highly experienced military flying instructors such as Rich. So it's worth mentioning the UAS syllabus includes a solo aerobatics. which is now going to change direction once again with a half horizontal before descending to 200 feet for a 185-mile-per-hour fast pass. The University Air Squadron also provide a huge opportunity for leadership development as well as adventure training and sports in the UK and abroad. As he finishes this fast pass, he's going to enter a high-energy dynamic wing over. Arguably, one of the most unique parts of this display compared to others that you may see today is that you, if you are aged between 13 and 20, or if you're at university, you can fly this exact aircraft, this exact aerobatic sequence, and even potentially with Rich himself. All you need to do is join the Air Cadets or the University Air Squadron if you're slightly older. He's now going to complete an oblique loop, a favourite from last year's display sequence, another good opportunity to capture some final photos. I'd additionally like to take this moment to say a thank you to our sponsors. Our appreciation goes to the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund, Babcock International, Runway 25 and Squadron Prince. Feel free to visit their websites. Also feel free to pop past, as I've said, to the tent, chat to myself and the UAS students who are there manning it, and we'll answer any and all questions you have. Following a half Cuban that Rich is now coming out of, we'll bring the Tutor around for his final manoeuvre, the waving pass, flown there at just 100 feet. Give him a massive wave, rest assured he can see you in the aircraft. Finally, a massive thank you to the Eastbourne Airshow for hosting us today, and thank you for your support. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the 2026 Royal Air Force Tutor display.
Oh, absolutely delightful, Ross. I have to say, I like the Bumblebee. It's my favourite aircraft.
It's a unique one, and it is a bit like Marmite, not in the colour, but in the sense that people love it or they hate it. So it's good to hear that you're on side, Josh.
Yeah, no, I definitely am, and I think I've got to say Rich has been doing a great job. I must say, I don't know, I've seen him 5 or 6 times this year, and you as well. But I mean, it really is. It's lovely to see because it's a tricky aircraft to watch when it's white, but also it's unusual to see it fully aerobatic, and it's not the easiest aircraft because it hasn't got that much power. So he does really well.
Exactly, yeah. All of that display sequence and the planning goes into it, and clearly on the really, really windy days, it's a challenge for him. Today it hasn't been as bad, but yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, you've earned a cup of tea, as have I. I'm going to take a break for 25 minutes or so, and we'll be back at 3 o'clock with the second half. Thank you.
Much more to come then this afternoon. Loads more in the skies to see, including the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. Rich Goodwin will be here with Jet Pits and so much more as we go through the afternoon here at Eastbourne. A bit of an opportunity for you all to top up that sunscreen. There's some opportunity to top up your water bottles. Plenty of places right along Eastbourne seafront to refill those reusable water bottles. While you're there, why not? Pop along to the Western Lawns. There's plenty to see on the lawns. You can walk through a Chinook facsimile. You can see a Bulldog aircraft on display with the RAF cadets. You can even sample up some of the food cooked for you by the RAF's field catering team. And while you're there, chats to the recruitment and engagement teams, plus some of the teams behind the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, the Typhoon, the Black Cats, the Tutor, all at their PR stands on the Western Lawns. And also you can meet and say hello to Ace and Amy Airbear. They'll be along at points through the afternoon from the Western Lawns information stand, meeting fans, posing for photos and handing out stickers through the day. While you're up there, please do give a donation at the Western Lawns statue entrance or at the information stand. 100% of your donation goes towards the future of Airborne and keeping this fantastic event going. Certainly a warm one down here on the Sunshine Coast. Plenty of time before we kickstart the displays again. The second half of Thursday's Eastbourne International Airshow coming up from about 3 o'clock. So opportunity to refill your water bottle, whether you do that on the Western Lawns or down the lifeguard station. Plenty of opportunities to you to do so. Before you go home, please do take your rubbish with you. So there is recycling points provided kindly by Environment First right along the seafront where you can pop your rubbish, or of course please do take it home with you. And if you have walked, cycled or travelled by public transport to get here today, then thank you. The single largest generator of emissions here at the event is not in fact the aircraft but the cars travelling to the show, so we appreciate your support in reducing both traffic on the road but also helping to make the show a little bit more sustainable as we go through. But why not? Rather than rushing off at the end of the day, don't rush home. You can avoid the traffic. There is some fabulous hospitality in one of Eastbourne's many hotels, bars and restaurants. You can visit Victoria Place and the pop-up park with outdoor dining in the newly pedestrianised area. Full of restaurants that runs from the town centre down to the seafront, offers a range of restaurants from Greek, Indian, Italian, Chinese, American diner, fish and chips, and so much more. And taking place tonight, you've also got the George Michael tribute down at the bandstand, or alternatively, if you fancy an evening at the theatre, then the Devonshire Park Theatre tonight has that smash hit, toe-tapping, feel-good comedy, Stepping Out, featuring Strictly's Karen Hauer. That's on at the Devonshire Park tonight, and plenty of other bits and bobs going on around the town. So rather than rushing off, stick around and enjoy much of what Eastbourne has to offer. Keep it tuned to Radio Airborne. Baz and Matt on the way later on this afternoon with the drive home, getting you home from a day at the air show. And if you fancy coming back tomorrow, well, how about upgrading your seating? There's an opportunity over at the bandstand for some bandstand seating, either on the promenade deck or the middle balcony. Some fantastic views of flying along there, and a reserve seat as well. You can come and go as you please. Limited availability left there, but every penny does support the air show. And if you fancy something a little bit more, where there is the VIP hospitality up in the departure lounge on the Western Lawns, limited availability there as well. Saturday is sold out, but it is our most relaxed hospitality. A VIP enclosure up there with some fantastic views, plus some seating, marquee shade, premium toilets, and some garden games to keep the kids occupied. Plus, not only that, you get a free included a premium barbecue lunch, 4 inclusive drinks, and an afternoon treat as well. So limited availability, but if you fancy upgrading your seating over the next few days, bearing in mind Saturday is sold out, you can book online, eastbourneairshow.com/VIP. Loads to see and do here at the Eastbourne International Airshow. A real opportunity now to get your water bottles topped up, get yourself back into your seats, maybe with a spot of lunch and a bit of something to keep you going, some sustenance, because we will get going in about 10 minutes' time once again for part 2 of today's Eastbourne International Airshow. Much to come here at Eastbourne still this afternoon, so get those water bottles topped up, get yourself back into your seats, and get ready for part 2 of this afternoon's Eastbourne International Airshow. Coming up, we've got the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight this year featuring the Dakota alongside the Hurricane and the Spitfire. The Lancaster is obviously undergoing much needed maintenance throughout 2026. Rich Goodwin back in the air again this afternoon. Jet pits. We're going to see that over the skies of Eastbourne. We're really lucky as well. We're going to get the debut from the Navy Wings Wasp flying alongside one of the Black Cats in a rare duo display. And we're also going to see that MiG-17 coming in this afternoon to finish off what is going to be this afternoon's flying here at Eastbourne. So round about just under 10 minutes to go till we restart for part 2 of Eastbourne 2026 this afternoon. Do remember though, please look after the beach, pick up your litter and protect our marine life. Take your rubbish with you as we go through. And please, if you can, do donate. All of your donations help towards saving Airborne in the future. And you may well see around about the footprint some of our volunteers in the red bibs. If you give to one of these, then 30% of your donation will go to one of their charities. So please do give whatever you can as you go around this afternoon at the air show. And thank you to the Rotary Club of Hailsham, Eastbourne Hospitality Association, and the team of volunteers who are out and about in this hot weather for their support and organising the bucket collections as we go through this afternoon. Please do as well, if you need to know where to get all your information about this year's air show, well, the programme is the place to go. Don't miss your favourite flying display. You can buy a programme for £10, which does include a free pin badge while stocks last. There's absolutely jam-packed these programmes of facts and features on each flying display. Loads of discount vouchers are in there, loads of features in there, and some kids' puzzles and plane spotters guide to tick off as well. What you will also get each day is free updated flying times, which you can collect each day from our programme sellers or from the information stand on the Western Lawns. All proceeds from those programme sales do support the future of Airborne. That programme kindly designed and sponsored by PRG Marketing Communications, and thanks to the team there for doing an incredible job on this year's programme. Not long to go till we restart flying. Top those water bottles up, top the sunscreen. Well, as we go into part 2 of today's Eastbourne International Airshow, please bear in mind that it is very warm. Hottest part of the day now, so keep that sun cream topped up. Try and get yourself under an umbrella or out of into the shade. But if you have an umbrella, make sure that you can still see the sky, because that's where the most important action over the next hour or so is going to be, and there is absolutely loads coming up in the sky. We're going to see a whole variety of aircraft in part 2 of this afternoon.
Well, it's very much an eclectic collection, mishmash between a couple of different formations. A lot of very whizzy, dynamic upside-down flying in solo aerobatics, and finishing off this afternoon with a retro jet of some impressive importance as well. So we are eagerly anticipating and listening out on the airways for the arrival and check-in of the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight to get this second half going. And of course, as I mentioned from the Spitfire, I don't think it's a complete display without at least the presence of the Spitfire, but it is always a special treat to have the 3-ship Battle of Britain Memorial Flight with us at any event around the country. The importance, not just the heritage that they have, to the legacy left behind from not just D-Day, but the Battle of Britain and the numerous other missions around the hemisphere that they supported, right through until the conclusion with VJ Day. The Dakota in particular that you're going to see working way on after the initial declaration of victory in Europe. If you cast your eyes now to the right-hand side of this fantastic arena, on a beautiful day here on the south coast at Airborne, you'll see, in place of the Lancaster for this year, as it's under maintenance, the Royal Air Force Battle of Britain Memorial Flight Dakota, flanked by 2 Spitfires. On one side, Mark 5B, AB910, and on the other, Mark 16, Tango Echo 311. Led today by Seb Davey, alongside him, Jamie Jackson, Al Luckins, and Andy Priest in the fighters. Please welcome the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. To open the show today, you'll see just a number of 3-ship passes in this formation before they break formation. An opportunity then to see the Dakota in its own right. And then we'll conclude with a fabulous tail chase. Unusually now with 2 Spitfires, as the Hurricane was unavailable today. tracing their roots back to the mid-50s, the initial establishment of the Royal Air Force Historic Flight as it was first known, formed with 3 of what were eventually leftover thumb flights, Spitfire Mark 19s. Have grown strength and strength for many, many years. The flight, of course, relies, although it has a full maintenance staff and a couple of full-time staff themselves, military officers, it still relies on a huge number of volunteers and public support to keep it going. An opportunity now to see the different genres in their own right. Dakota, or DAC as it was known in British parlance, the C-47 Dakota. Coming out of DAC, of course, coming out from the manufacturer itself, the Douglas Aircraft Corporation, without doubt one of the most successful aircraft designs in history. Became one of the world's most famous military transport aircraft and saw widespread use by the Allies during World War II, and subsequently by air forces and civilian operators around the world. Magnificent Spitfire, of course, the shape and sound of them already marked at the opening of our display this afternoon. But a remarkable design in all respects, and a tribute to that design stable that R.J. Mitchell managed. Not necessarily the brainchild, of course. We've learned so much in recent years of the role of the likes of Shenstone and his prior work and diligence and involvement with the Heinkel production team in Germany before the war. The Spitfires were produced in greater numbers than any other British combat aircraft before or since the war. Well over 20,000 Spitfires were built in well over 20 different marks and remained in production for 12 years. Spitfires fought in every operational theatre of the war and remained in Royal Air Force frontline service right up until 1954. It was an extraordinary legacy and an amazing development program because by the end of the war, the Spitfire carried an engine producing more than twice the power of the original. Its maximum takeoff weight and rate of climb had more than doubled. Its firepower had increased by a factor of 5, and its maximum speed had been increased by a third, all essentially in the same airframe. Leading from the front in Tango Echo 311, the Mark 16, an aircraft built once again at Castle Bromwich with its clipped wings, taken on charge in June 1945. Didn't get to operate, of course, from that date in the remainder of the Second World War, whilst it saw out its days in the Far East. It was officially grounded effectively and used as a gate guarding at Royal Air Force Tangmere before being loaned to Spitfire Productions, using it to resemble a Mark I Spitfire for the famous film The Battle of Britain. Right on its tail, though, Flight Lieutenant Andy Priest, a name who's been well known on the air display circuit for many, many years, came to the fore as the Royal Air Force Tutor display pilot, doing wonderful things with the little aircraft you saw just an hour or so ago. But he had a great pedigree. Initially trained as a navigator before then going on to fly the Tornado, and has spent many years now. And I think it will be a difficult transition for him when he eventually hands over the reins from his role as operations officer. Very much now one of the leading mentors of the warbird world, particularly for the Royal Air Force. The aircraft he flies today had flown 143 operational missions in a remarkable wartime history spanning almost 3 years on operations. AB, as we just refer to it in the business, was delivered to 133 Squadron at Biggin Hill in June 1942 and flew 29 operations with this particular unit. It continued to fly operationally up until July 1944, having served with many other squadrons and numerous patrols, with many of those over the D-Day invasion beaches on the 6th of June. They all have so many tales to tell, too much to talk about now whilst we just enjoy the sight and sound of these marvellous machines. But the Spitfire, of course, played a major part in achieving ultimate victory in World War II and truly deserves its place as probably the most successful fighter design ever, and certainly as the most famous and charismatic of all time. As they switch roles now, coming in from the right, the Dakota will take over the skies as the Spitfires pass alongside. As they go into their final parting roll, we remember the 2,300 and more pilots who flew in that Battle of Britain. 574 of them were not even British. And very sadly, 544 of them were killed just in that one campaign. The average age of the Spitfire pilots just 22, and the average life expectancy just 4 weeks. As the Dakota maneuvers back into crowd center, fighters prepare to rejoin the formation for its departure. As a tactical transport aircraft, the Dakota was used to carry troops and freight, for the airdropping of supplies and parachutes, for towing gliders and for casualty evacuations. Its amazing ruggedness became legendary under the demands of war, and its capabilities were increased to permit it to carry a payload more than double the original specification, 28 fully equipped soldiers and paratroops. Seen here today in Southeast Asia Command markings, it conducted paradropping operations on the eve of D-Day in addition to missions to evacuate casualties and to resupply forces. When it's not in display mode as it is today, it's used as a training aircraft for the pilots who will go on to fly the Lancaster in future displays. truly memorable sight, as I'm sure one more chance to get an excellent departing photograph. And our grateful thanks to Flight Lieutenant Seb Davey and to Flight Lieutenant Jamie Jackson. Bomber leader Seb, but I understand captain of the Dakota today is Jamie Jackson. And alongside them, Flight Lieutenants Andy Priest and Al Luckins. And as they ready in formation now for their final pass, we salute today's airmen, remembering the heroes of the past, and particularly the motto of their flight, lest we forget. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a wonderful airborne farewell as they wave off back to base to hopefully keep these venerable aircraft in our sight for many, many decades to come.
And a huge thank you to the Horder Centre, gold sponsor and supporter of the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight Display at Airborne. You can see the BBMF once again each day here at Airborne 2026. And while you're here, if you pop up to the Western Launch, you'll also catch the PR teams from many of the display teams, including the BBMF, who are up there on the Western Lawn. So go and say hello to the team up there. A huge thank you as well to Caffins of Eastbourne for supporting Radio Airborne today. And if you haven't already, please do tune in on your way home from work or on the way home from the air show on 87.7 FM right through till Sunday for all the live commentary, some great music, event updates, and of course chat as well. And why not? While you're here, there's always opportunity to join the Airborne Supporters Club. Some limited edition goodies in there. Costs £50 with all proceeds supporting the show, but you get a range of exclusive perks within that, including an official Airborne t-shirt, wristband access to some VIP toilets, and also a souvenir program and that 2026 pin badge. So an opportunity to support the future of Airborne 2026 and become an official Airborne supporter as well.
Absolutely. I think it's a marvellous team that run this, but they need everybody's help. As you know what it costs, and it's a massive effort. So it's not just down to the sponsors, it's down to everybody out there as well. There is no such thing as a free air show, although I hope you're having a wonderful day out there. So please give generously wherever you can. Moving on now, we go into a slightly different genre of unlimited aerobatics, and this is in the most extraordinary plane with a truly committed and passionate aviator in the guise of Richard Goodwin, a name I suspect you're already familiar with, because he's the guy that put a pair of very small 350 horsepower jet engines on the side of a already perfectly serviceable and powerful little biplane called a Pit Special. It's no ordinary Pit Special at all. These aircraft have been around the air display business since the mid-1940s. And you will see this doing things that are just not normal at all. Well, we eagerly await his check-in and clearance to display. We're pretty much running to time now, so I make it just about another minute to go before he comes on stage.
Not long to go then. Very soon we continue. Richard Goodwin coming into the air skies over Eastbourne. Obviously, please do take away any rubbish. Keep the beach nice and clean. There's loads of spots along the seafront to do your recycling. Thanks to Environment First. So a really important message as you think about going home. Once the flying displays have ended, don't forget that all-important rubbish from the beach.
Indeed, and I'll see you down there later because I just can't wait to. I'm sorry, I don't know about you guys out there, but I'm absolutely dripping in here. How about you? Adam, you're looking remarkably cool.
That's how I normally look, but it is it's very warm in here. It must be we must be up to 35.
Have those really cool shades got some sort of refrigeration jet on them that I don't know about?
This is my my air conditioning, which is keeping me going through the afternoon. We'll see how I look in about an hour's time.
Thank goodness we're not on TV. That's all I can say. But certainly, yes, the water's wonderful. Just stay close to the beach where you can at the moment. Because we are continuing flying right through until around about 4 o'clock, just after, around about 10 past 4. And then we can let you loose to swim out as much as you wish. And that's when I'll be running down there to join you as well, just to keep it cool. But we keep the action going, fast and furious, for the next while. And we, as I say, do hope you're going to enjoy this next act. Look out now to your right-hand side. And here is Richard coming in his trademark angle, which is a knife edge pass. It's not just the power and the agility and of course the real skill of the pilot doing this, but actually on a Pit Special it is a remarkable plane because the fuselage even gives it a little bit of lift as well. Now listen out for the noises. At the moment you're just hearing one engine. There are actually 3 on this one. And there, if your ears were working properly, you just heard 2 other little jet engines kick in, which giving him that extra zip in his style and allows him to power directly up into the sky without stalling. A lot more to come yet, because this guy has done so many things to this aircraft, are truly modified. He's really committed, loves his engineering as well, and he's definitely got a lot of aviation in his DNA, because his father was a well-known hunter display pilot in the Royal Air Force. Richard himself has flown Tornadoes in the Royal Air Force, then went into commercial aviation, but he didn't get to fly like that in a 757. No, as he spins up, and this time now coming into a flat spin. Look at that smoke just rushing around the tail of the aircraft, and he uses that height to build in a lot more energy, and that's what gives him the power. Not just the jet engines, they help as well, but of course that boosts his energy level alongside the speed of the aircraft, jinxes one side, rolls to the other, and then goes inverted. And this is where he's flying flat, and he's using the rudder now. It's a rudder turn, essentially, inverted. Not a very pleasant position to be in at all, because all the blood is trying to burst out through his brain. He won't complete this circle all the way. He'll flip out of it as he gets in a little bit closer. But nonetheless, just showing the agility, because good as bits, you know, quite a clever guy, and developed this aircraft so that both aircraft give an equal, well, pretty much close to an equal amount of lift, upside down or the right way up. Hear those jet engines kick in again. Richard using that to power his way up, 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 putting in a couple of flick rolls while he's at it. Really flies it in a straight line. And just look at that go. It is like a little rocket. Now, when he comes in close, those of you with binos or with infrared long-range cameras, I should say, you'll get to see those little jets. They're just cantilevered or canted out away from the nose cone itself, and that is basically just to reduce the really hot air going over the tailplane. Inverted, pushing against himself there. Once again, it's a real sort of nosebleed sort of environment, that, to be really working hard in the negative G regime, but quickly flicking on his back and getting up to an enormous speed. You may well remember him in his little red and white painted G-Whiz. Well, this has been extensively modified. He refers to it to his hot rod Pitts biplane, with the enhanced engines, enlarged control services, and a high-performance smoke system as well. It's truly a one-off aircraft, this. It is the world's only jet-powered Pitts special, and the only one ever conceived, designed, and built. Listen to that roar now as he goes up into his towering Christmas tree. Not just pretty, but he'll make every bit out of that height that he has gained as well by the end of it. Flying to unlimited aerobatic display authorization level, himself a past champion, unsurprisingly, in the aerobatic world. His displays always feature signature maneuvers like the knife edge pass you saw, all the tumbles and torque rolls you've been viewing, high alpha flight, the double hammerhead, and his tower of power as well. Curtis Pitts was the man who set out in the mid-40s to design an aircraft specifically to compete in the aerobatic world. First flew in 1944 with just a very small 90 horsepower Franklin engine, but boy, did it become famous. Once again, we mentioned the Stampe's use by the Rothmans team and Neil Williams. Well, before he finished with that, he then, Neil and his team, went on to perform expertly and really popularly well in their pit specials as well. It's a great aircraft. A lot of people learn on these as well. And made famous by a lady initially in the late 40s. Betty Skelton was her name, and her little aircraft was nicknamed the Little Stinker. If you're ever crossing Washington, D.C., then just nip into the outpost of the Smithsonian Museum and you'll see her aircraft quite rightly hanging upside down in the museum there. So flicking left and right and then holding it. Again, this is unnatural flying. Hovering in the sky before then pinwheeling it down, putting a Buddha rudder in, not just a stall turn, but tripling that by going edge over edge as he is descending at the same time. Here we go again. All the power is on. Well over 1,000 horsepower there, right at the top end. Massive, great engine, which was there in the first place. And then the addition of those two little jet engines on the side as well. Each of those little jets produces 350 pounds of thrust, and that's what gives him that extra high performance. The main power plant being a pretty big 540 Lycoming engine. It's got additional titanium sprung gear legs, adapted rudder design, and a new shaped carbon cowling as well to reduce the weight and profile drag as well. So all in all, he has pushed this design to its ultimate. Not just climbing, side slipping at the same time, and you can hear him revving the engine. He's just ignited the jet engines. Going now into his all familiar Harrier hoverfly. Holding it in the sky. An absolutely unique sight to see. Far more than engineering, this has led him into the world of STEM to inspire younger people. It's driven by innovation, experimentation, and a desire to push the boundaries of aerobatic aircraft design. Much of this down to the major wing modification from Eddie Sorenman. They're extremely unique with a massively increased wing area, huge ailerons delivering a phenomenal roll rate. At the same time, if you want to fly slow, they're also good at low speed handling as well. So whilst it was a pretty meaty beast before he put the jets on, the 8.5 litre Lycoming, capable of operating on sustainable aviation fuel as well, alongside the environmentally friendly smoke there. Add that to the turbines, giving a total thrust output of around about 1,700 pounds in a pretty lightweight aircraft. Not only that, but it's capable of pulling and pushing plus or minus 6G. Imagine that is 6 times your body weight. So you're all weighing 1G out there at the moment. Imagine a pressure 6 times your body weight trying to push you into the beach out there, or inadvertently stand on your head and put the same pressure going the other way. Very, very unpleasant indeed. Slowing it down. You just see the flexibility this remarkable aircraft has. Potentially happy. It is an exhausting process though, this standard of aerobatic flying. Those jet engines kicking in and powering upwards from a very, very slow starting speed, quite unique. You may see a bit of gyroscopic effect now, yes, as the aircraft, and he decides to bring it back over its back. I think that may have been, oh no, he's not knocking off yet, so I think we were just checking in with another aircraft in the background. So more of these aircraft coming on, a lot of youngsters now getting into pit special flying. It's a wonderful training machine and a great competitor as well. Pushing out against himself, again, that's uncomfortable negative G. Not a lot you can do about that. Now, the jet jockeys, of course, they wear their G-pants, as we refer to them, and that helps stop the blood running down into the legs. But when you're inverted, not even that will help you. It's something you have to train to be remain very, very fit for indeed, and also practice a couple of times a week as well. Not just staying current in terms of flying hours and flying and display practices, but also keeping your body current in the genre that it's needed to go through these excesses of G. Back into his trademark knife edge pass now. He's probably taking a quick look down at you there on the beach, so you're welcome to give him a little wave, but no, he decides to go back into hover flight once more. And now Richard declares his last pass. Bends it round, wonderful colour scheme this. And sun now in a perfect position for you photographers out there. Trying to emulate the Typhoon, putting in those rapid rolls all the way up, and look at that roll rate, even going forward when you'd expect a normal powered aircraft to actually run out of airspeed. Not with this one. He keeps on going with the jet engines until they lose their power. And again, a little bit of gyroscopic effect at the top there, and that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is Richard Goodwin topping out his display.
An absolute crowd favourite across the airshow scene. He'll be back once again tomorrow. 3 more days to see Jed Pitts over the skies of Eastbourne. Don't go anywhere, because something special is coming up very soon. Debut from the Navy Wings Wasp, and also flying with one of the Black Cats in a rare duo display. So that's coming up very, very shortly. Rich obviously heading out back off in the Shoreham direction. Now, if you are parked down at 5 Acre Field, the last bus will depart Cavendish Place this evening at 7 p.m. But don't rush off. There's loads to see and do in Eastbourne. Avoid the traffic and stay a little longer. You've got a George Michael tribute show with Andrew Browning at 8 p.m. at the bandstand. Tickets still available from the Seafront office, or do visit eastbournebandstand.co.uk. And there's some fabulous hospitality across many of Eastbourne's hotels, bars and restaurants. You've got Victoria Place and the pop-up park with some outdoor dining in the newly pedestrianised area. And of course, if you fancy an evening at the theatre, you can see the smash hit, toe-tapping, feel-good comedy Stepping Out. That's on at the Devonshire Park Theatre tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday night as well. So there's loads to see and do across the.
That sounds a lot of fun, actually. Are you into that sort of genre, the old stepping out, song and dance routine?
It does sound like a fabulous night at the theatre. What night are we going, George?
Well, I don't know. I must say you've got the figure for it, Adam.
Absolutely.
I only said that because you can't see him, of course. No, that's what I love about Eastbourne. You know, it doesn't just stop at the end of the flying display. There's shed loads going on, and the live theatre and drama is a real send. And I think there's a Motown night tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, in the Congress Centre. And that seems to be a really, really good venue as well. The three-man, there's another theatre as well, the Ambassador, something like that, isn't it?
You've got the Congress, the Devonshire Park, and then you've got the Winter Garden as well.
Ah, that's right, yeah. And so really, really widespread entertainment, which is absolutely fantastic. Well, look, all that little scampering and chit-chatting in the background here, I'm just catching up with everything now. There is a little delay. The Wildcat of the Royal Navy has had some issues getting started. The Wasp is on its way, but will be a few minutes yet. And the MiG-17 is going to be a little while after that. So it's not going to happen in a rush now. Over the next few minutes, we're going to see the Wasp. Hopefully the Wildcat will make it, and we will then get to see the MiG-17s as well. So just bear with us for a few minutes, and we'll just double check what plan we actually have going on at the moment. Well, interestingly enough, it looks like one of them has speeded up, and what we're hoping to see next is the Wasp. Not everybody will know that. It's not the Bumblebee you saw earlier, which was a fixed-wing aircraft. This is something very different, and you'll hear that very, very distinctive whine, because that's a Rolls-Royce Nimbus engine. It's got a really distinct sound, and if you look way out to sea right in front of you, you'll see it. Here she comes. And here's a little interesting tune for you, Adam. Perfect timing. The call to flying stations from the Royal Navy, the majestic sight of an aircraft developed in the mid-60s, the Westland Wasp. in the hands today of Tim Delafos, a well-known operator. This particular Wasp is not the one out of the normal stables of Navy Wings, but it is actually one that belongs to a private owner, whilst the Navy Wings example goes through some essential maintenance. Navy Wings, like the BBMF and the Army's Historic Flight, doing their very best to keep venerable aircraft flying, to recognise the exploits and achievements of their forefathers through military campaigns around the globe. Now operating as a charity, previously known as the Royal Navy's Historic Flight, now operating under the title of the Navy Wings Heritage Flight. Their aim to inspire future generations to remember the service and sacrifice of those involved with naval flying and promote a deeper understanding of the important part played by the Royal Naval Air Service and the Fleet Air. You can see it's pretty agile, which it is indeed. And you see the difference between that and what you may well regard as more familiar, the Army Air Corps Scout. So this one's got wheels on it, and that of course is all about being able to maneuver it around the deck of a heaving and rolling ship out on the ocean. I understand the owner of this Wasp is here with us today, and we'd just like to very much thank him for his support in helping Navy Wings out on this occasion, and indeed giving you the pleasure of seeing this venerable machine as well. Painted in the colours of a very large ship, HMS Arethusa. It's an important part in representing the Fleet Air Arms activities, because in many ways it transformed the way combat aircraft from the Royal Navy performed. Of course, they'd already exploited with a lot of fixed-wing aircraft on aircraft carriers. Of course, the advent of the helicopter enabled them to operate off a much smaller deck, off the back end of a naval frigate and destroyer. Five-seat aircraft, multi-role, a medium-range anti-submarine torpedo-carrying helicopter. The wind from that Rolls-Royce Nimbus producing just over 1,000 shaft horsepower. Standard speed or fast speed, usually around about 120 miles an hour. So I'm just getting some other messages, and it sounds like the Wildcat has got some technical difficulties, but let's concentrate on the Wasp for now, because it is an important aircraft and it played a significant role in Fleet Air Arms activities. And he, I see, is departing off to the right-hand side. No doubt a caption there. I thought it was the Wildcat that was on its way in that had a problem, but Tim there declaring that very sadly there is just a technical issues about that aircraft. It's in many ways a great shape. We hope to see it later in the week, of course, because it's got the most remarkable history. It was particularly during the Argentinian campaign down in the Falkland Islands when the Wasps were involved in armed action against the Argentinian submarine Santa Fe. But I'll just go offline for a moment and see if I can catch up with the fault with both those helicopters, and I'll give you as much information as I can in just a moment.
Updates then, very shortly. We'll just catch up with the updates on the flying schedule as we go through the afternoon. The nature of the beast is these things can change very quickly, so we'll just get a bit of an update as to where we're at, and then we'll be back in touch. Obviously, as you're out and about, we would very much like your support, mentioned a few times, but please do donate to a bucket collector today, or put your donation into one of the points across the airborne site. There's points at the Western Lawns, at the statue entrance, the information stand on the Western Lawns as well, and at the seafront office by the bandstand. 100% of your donation does go towards Airborne. So before you're out, any spare change you've got is much appreciated.
Yes, well, I'm just catching up. So it sounds like one's got a technical issue. We're not too sure what it is at the moment, but luckily he's on his way back to land safely. The Wildcats, meanwhile, has sorted his technical problem and will be with us in a few minutes' time, which is marvellous news. And also the MiG-17 as well is en route too. So quite a bit going on there in the background. I mean, I haven't got enough ears to listen to all the messages. So I've got people talking behind me, listening to a radio, listening to you, and of course trying to work out what we're going to see next. So we're going to see the Wildcat next. He's definitely on his way, but I think it's going to be a couple more minutes.
So keep an eye out then, approaching from the right-hand side, across from Beachy Head. Hopefully very soon we'll have sight of a couple of Black Cats coming that way. Many of you, I know, are having a dip into the sea and cooling down, which is absolutely fair enough. Beautiful day for it. Please do just take care, listen to the lifeguard advice. Eastbourne Lifeguards doing a fabulous job. If you can, please use the dedicated swim area in front of the lifeguard station and take care in the water.
Well, you'll never guess what else is coming. I mean, it's just like London buses, you know. They used to say, my parents used to say, they all come along at once. So not only are we going to see the Wildcat, but they've brought a wonderful officer along to talk about it.
Oh,
so I'm going to have to ask you to vacate your seat, because right now I've got a very young, bright spark, and who is going to relieve me of command temporarily while we get this, which is brilliant news, because the Black Cats actually have a long history, going back well over 20 years now. They were started off as the Lynx pair, and got to know them all so well over the years, and it's just been wonderful, but of course heavily committed, and we'll just get this young gentleman rigged up with what he needs to tell you all about it, because I'm going to find out who he is and what he does. So by the looks of it, it would appear that I've got Sub-Lieutenant Nick Udin alongside me. Nick, good afternoon to you and welcome.
Good afternoon, thank you for having me.
Right, and I gather you're not yet qualified on the Wildcat, but I'm guessing that's where you're heading. Is that where you're hoping to fly?
That is what I'm hoping to fly. So I'm an observer. I'm going through observer training, and after my next course I will be streamed either the anti-submarine Merlin or the anti-surface Wildcat, which we're displaying today.
Well, yeah, there's a lot there. The Merlin, what a different class altogether. I don't see him yet, but oh yes, I've got him. So look, I'm just going to leave you to chat about this wonderful aircraft. I know it well myself, because the British Army's got some as well. I understand not for much longer, which is a rather sad announcement from the Defence Secretary. But nonetheless, you are busy boys around the world right now, aren't you?
Absolutely. So we've got several Wildcats out in Cyprus at the moment, and we're operating them off our frigates and destroyers all the time.
Okay, so what are we going to see? I'll leave it to you. You carry on. Number one.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Eastbourne. So the Black Cats have been a popular fixture on the airshow circuit since 2001, when they were known as the Lynx pair, flying the Lynx, which is what the evolved into the Wildcat. In 2004, the team adopted the name Black Cats, which was derived from the Lynx Wildcat of 702's Naval Air Squadron's badge, and also the naval slang black catting, which implies having done something better than someone else. When you watch the Black Cats display, you're watching frontline Royal Navy aviators and engineers at work. The team is made up of volunteers from 825 Naval Air Squadron and the Maritime Aviation Strike Force based at Royal Naval Air Station Yeovilton in Somerset. The Wildcat itself is the Royal Navy's agile shipborne attack helicopter, operating from frigates, destroyers and aircraft carriers. It gives commanders a fast, flexible and heavily armed aircraft that can find, track and strike threats in the air, on the water and below the waves. And the Wildcat just positioning out, doing checks and just preparing to run in. The aircraft today is call sign Black One. It's crewed by Lieutenant Commander Jim Fraser and Lieutenant Ollie Menden. Jim Fraser is at the controls in the right-hand seat. He joined the Royal Navy in 2001, deploying worldwide with 815 Naval Air Squadron on the Maritime Links, supporting counter-narcotics and disaster relief operations. He went on to instruct with 660 Squadron Army Air Corps and competed in the World Helicopter Championships in Russia. Since converting to Wildcat in 2017, he has held both frontline and instructional roles with 815 and 825 Naval Air Squadron, including a period where he served as Lieutenant Commander Flying at Royal Naval Air Station Yeovilton before returning to Wildcat instructional duties with 825 earlier this year. And that's, we can hear them ready to start the display, so they'll be turning in shortly.
I'll tell you what, just give me the definition and the descriptions. Observer is a term used uniquely by the Royal Navy. Everybody else refers to a navigator in others, or a co-pilot. The observer covers many roles, doesn't it?
It is, yeah. So what we call the observer, the Americans call a naval flight officer. The RAF would call them a weapons systems officer, and it's the person in the aircraft that makes an aircraft into a weapons platform, into a military platform. So the observer on board is operating communications, radar, cameras, weapons. If they need to do search and rescue, they will step into the back, operate the winch, and we'll have one of our engineers go down on the winch, pick people out to sea, do boat transfers, all that good stuff.
So you're very much a multi-role man, but I hear the throb of those engines and rotors now, so let's get back to the display with you.
Absolutely. So, Eastbourne Airshow, if you look to the skies, approaching crowd centre at 100 feet, 130 knots. Please welcome the Royal Navy Black Cats. In the left-hand seat then, we've got Lieutenant Ollie Mendham. He's one of the observers. Ollie joined the Royal Navy in 2012 as a non-graduate, post a short career as a kitchen and bathroom designer for Home Base. Initially commissioning as a warfare officer, he spent the beginning of his career driving warships as an officer of the watch, prior to being selected for observer training. On receiving his wings in July of 2021, he went on to deploy to the Mediterranean, Far East and High North on a variety of Royal Navy vessels with 815 Naval Air Squadron. He has since returned to 85 as a qualified observer instructor and squadron operations officer. Well, not on the aircraft today. The Augusta Westland 159 Wildcat is capable of carrying two different types of missiles on weapons wings that can be fitted. These are the Martlet, a laser-guided missile system, and Sea Venom, a guided anti-shipping system, shipping missile. Together with the aircraft's sophisticated center suite, they provide a potent maritime strike capability, delivering lethality from Royal Navy ships at sea. As well as those two missiles, we can also fit a gun on the side of the helicopter, enabling us to shoot at small targets when conducting counter-narcotics operations. Black Cat's parent squadron, 825 Naval Air Squadron, was commissioned in October 2014 and is part of the Maritime Aviation Strike based at Yeovilton in Somerset. They're responsible for training all Wildcat pilots and observers and looking after the flights on board Royal Navy frigates and destroyers around the world. The Wildcat Maritime Force comprises 825 Naval Air Squadron, 815 Naval Air Squadron, Wildcat simulators, and the headquarters element. Between them, they ensure that the aircrew, engineers, aircraft, and supporting equipment are ready to support the Royal Navy, both at home and anywhere in the world. In March of this year, the Royal Navy Wildcat helicopters deployed to Cyprus, strengthening air defence in the region. Equipped with Martlet missiles, the aircraft provides valuable anti-drone capabilities, protecting the island. The Martlet missile, originally designed as an anti-surface missile, has proven its capability to take down airborne drones. The older folks among you, you may sense a similarity the Wildcat has with the Lynx helicopter. The Wildcat replaced the Lynx Mark 8, giving it more powerful engines that allow it to be flown in extreme weather conditions all year round. These engines enable it to lift up to 1 ton, give the aircraft a top speed of 160 knots. Supporting the Wildcat on the ground is Chief Petty Officer Nick Holland, who's the head of engineering. Nick joined the Royal Navy in 1990, serving worldwide on Sea Harriers with 801 and 800 Naval Air Squadron, before moving on to instructional roles and later deploying on Sea King operations in Afghanistan. Following promotion and transition to the Wildcat Maritime Force, he served as the senior maintainer with 815 Naval Air Squadron, including a deployment to the United Arab Emirates, escorting shipping through the Strait of Hormuz and conducting counter-narcotics operations. So now from the left, we see the Black Cats come for their final pass. So everyone give them a nice wave as they head down the show line.
Well done, Royal Navy. Very good to meet you today, Nick, and I hope you will see a bit more of you during the course of the weekend.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Well, good to see it, although not together with the Wasp this time, but hopefully they'll fix all the various technical faults and programming that was going on behind our backs, and we'll see them both together tomorrow. Good luck to you, and enjoy the evening. And the good news, I think we are in touch with the pilot of the MiG-17, so do not go away. This is an aircraft certainly to keep your eyes and well worth it. It's making its debut here, of course, at Airborne, but it has been around the UK now for several months, and I know has been pleasing many spectators at various air shows around UK. Well, we're nearly all over for today, but it's not all over for the weekend. We hope that most of you will be staying around because, of course, we're adding extra aircraft tomorrow and again on Saturday that you haven't seen today. Do make the most of it. And as we've been chatting about, it's a wonderful environment, whether you just want to go swimming for the next couple of hours or whether you want to go get something to eat or maybe stay on and go to one of the theatres. There is plenty happening.
It is a beautiful place to watch an air show, and there is a unique spot, and I'm sure many people are listening to the commentary from up on a Beachy Head, which is a particularly unique spot where sometimes you are above the aircraft that are displaying below you. So a beautiful environment, and thank you very much for coming out today in this hot weather to see it.
Yeah, well done. Thank you so much for joining me too. It's a first.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, the Smashy and Nicey show. Marvellous stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure everybody remembers them, but two itinerant DJs. So anyway, moving on to aircraft. Yes, this aircraft is an absolute must, and we hope very much that you'll make the most of this. And we'll just give you a short break. I'm told it may be 4 or 5 minutes before we see it. So hold on to your hats out there. Well, I hear the airwaves breaking out in chit-chat again, which means that Matthias Strama is talking to us, which means he's about to fly in. And prepare yourselves now for a truly memorable moment. Operated by Fubar Aviation, this is the only airworthy MiG-17 in Europe. It's a Polish version, a license-built LIM 5, equivalent to the Soviet MiG-17, built in 1958. This one returned to service very, very recently indeed. It may well be known to some of you spotters out there with the NATO reporting name of Fresco, but it is something to enjoy and watch, I can assure you. Setting the scene now, in the background, we await this remarkable aircraft. You'll hear the sound of the Klimov VK-1F turbojet with afterburner. On your left-hand side, please welcome the MiG-17. Transonic fighter that was produced in the Soviet Union from 1952 onwards and operated by other international air forces as well. Went on to be license built in China as the J5 and in Poland, as I've just mentioned, the LIM 6. Referenced frequently as an advanced modification of the MiG-15, something that you have seen here before, but hasn't been across here from Norway for a couple of years now. Produced by the Soviets during the Korean War, but too late for use in that. First being used in conflict in the Taiwan Strait crisis of 1958. Designed initially to shoot down slower American bombers, it showed surprising success when used by the North Vietnamese pilots to combat American fighters and fighter bombers during the Vietnam War. I'm delighted to say that as we're operating a seaside show as well, the pilots and aircraft get a little bit more maneuverability, an opportunity to display its roll rate as well, as there are still restrictions on swept-wing jets around the United Kingdom over land. Looks absolutely magnificent, doesn't it? It beautifully presented. Surprisingly agile and even more maneuverable than many of the American aircraft, such as the F-4 Phantom and the 105 Thunder Chief. Transonic capabilities close to Mach 1 point and a bit. Very good climb rate. As you'll see, pretty good agility as well. Designed specifically with heavy nose armament on board, consisting of two 23mm cannons and one 37mm cannon. Slower speed, lovely roll there with the afterburner not in. And this is a magnificent example. Only got back into flying a few months ago in Poland following extensive restoration, making its UK debut at the Midlands Air Festival as recently as May this year. I just heard him call up a little bit earlier than I was hoping. Of course, you could just see the huge amount of airspace that this early generation fighters, all of their particular date and time use, unlike modern fighters, have with different characteristics, onboard computers to control them. This very much seat of your pants flying. Very good at dogfighting, featuring a much tighter turn than even though this looks incredibly wide airspace. So last pass from Matthias here with a topside view. Give him a wave. Really, really good to see this aircraft. Many of you won't remember the great comic strip heroes of youth, but this has a sort of bit of an air of Dan Dare about it, doesn't it? It's the most amazing machine. Just a crew of one and really an awful lot of afterburning showing off there as well that we would expect from this generation. But nonetheless, still a good range of a couple of thousand kilometers. It was able to carry additional fuel tanks as well. Service ceiling round about, well, certainly over 50,000 feet, and G limits up to +8, giving it an amazing capability. Well, we hope to see a little more of that over the next few days. I'm not sure what the issue was there, but what a fabulous afternoon we've had. That is it for today. But our grateful thanks coming now from Adam. There's so many people who have helped put this together, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge thank you to, first and foremost, Eastbourne Borough Council and Visit Eastbourne for putting on this incredible event. And we're only a quarter of the way through. We've still got 3 more days of this year's Eastbourne International Airshow. But please do remember, as you go home tonight, it is funded entirely through donations, commercial sales and sponsorship. So if you can, please do support the airshow, donate and keep it going. And obviously a huge thank you to RAF, Army, Navy, Emergency Services, the Rotary Club of Hailsham and all of the volunteers who have supported the event today. It's been an absolutely fantastic first day, and I genuinely am looking forward to what the next couple of days brings here in Eastbourne.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be even bigger and better. We've got longer days now. I'm not talking about sunshine, I'm talking about the number of aircraft we're producing. So make sure you're back here by 12:30 at the latest tomorrow if you want to enjoy another really full day's flying, non-stop tomorrow. Then again on Saturday, Sunday slightly shorter day, but nonetheless just terrific. Join us if you can. Go carefully out there. Please listen to the stewards if you are thinking of leaving town. But right now, listen in to Radio Airborne. We'll leave you in their hands for the rest of the evening. Good afternoon.